Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to my midweek news roundup. It is midweek, it is Wednesday, isn't it? I couldn't remember what day it was then. It says there on the top of my thing, Wednesday live news stream. Yes, it is Wednesday's news stream. Hey, because I'm exhausted today because I've been gardening. What's my hair doing there? Anyway, sticking out as well. I'm all over the place. I've been gardening the last 2 days. Yesterday I trimmed the privets, the hedge, and today we're cutting the grass. So I'm done in today. I ache all over because I'm an old man and I'm not used to physical labour. Anyway, Windgrace is here, and so is his arch nemesis, Archmage Frey. It says, hooray for news. But yes, good. And Archmage Frey says, the future is now. Is he? Oh, is it? Right, so welcome to the show. We're live on YouTube. Fingers crossed. We seem to be. Yes, we're live on YouTube. And we should be live on Rumble if it's working. Yes, we're live on Rumble. And it seems okay. We're not all pixelated. And we're live on Twitch, which is cool. So I'll give that a share on Twitter. Not that anybody follows my Twitter account, but I just always share it on Twitter. I'll do the same for the Rumble one as well. See if we just tempt a few more people in. I've got 2 Twitter accounts actually, and I should do. I should share them to both, but I can't be bothered switching between them. Right, so that's that done. Right, off we go. Fingers crossed we won't get that silly message from StreamYard saying my connection's unstable. It's fine so far. Right, so before we start, don't forget, I can never do it, that like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. As I've said, we're live on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. Later on, I will upload it to thingamabob, what they call it, Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So Windgrace distracted me, saying he's got 3 Twitter accounts. He hasn't used any since 2016. Probably for the best. I don't know why I go on Twitter, to be honest. Sorry, X. It's X now, isn't it? It's not Twitter anymore. Why has he changed it? Don't know. Because he's an alien. Elon Musk is an alien. He's like, he reminds me of Ford Prefect, from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that he crash landed on Earth or something and thought, oh, I'll just think of a name. I think of a name for myself, a good Earth name. I know, Elon Musk. That'll help me fit in. But anyway, where were we? I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links in the description. Ow, I've got blisters on my hands with gardening. We're using the mower. I keep catching it. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links in the description, as are the links for my 2 books. Got to keep getting these plugs in. I don't know if I'm selling any. I don't know. Silent Predator, a short horror novella about big cats eating people. And that one, Mercury Rapids, a light-hearted sci-fi action adventure about UFOs and stuff. It's all good fun. It's on Amazon, Kindle and paperback. Give them a whirl. Windgrace says cars are the dominant species. Are they? Cars? Well, they are in the film Cars. Right. What else? Have anything else to say? Oh, I've also got a Patreon. I've got to do me banner, haven't I? My Patreon banner. I keep forgetting. There you go. There's me shout out to my Patreons, my lone Patreon, that Archmage Frey fella over on what is it? Over on Twitch. My sole Patreon, keeping the lights on. I don't know if I've got any money off them. I don't even know if I set up a way to pay, but I can't remember. I'll have to check. But anyway, there'll be a new video dropping on my Patreon tomorrow. Can't remember what it is. I recorded it a few days ago and scheduled it to drop tomorrow, and I've actually forgotten what it is. But that will arrive tomorrow. And I'll be doing my In Magical Monochrome next week. I haven't done one this week, so I've been super busy and actually forgot about it. But I'll do that next week. Right. So that's that out of the way. Oh, right. It was a Ford Prefect reference. Was it? Oh, right. I can't remember. I've read the books. Which ones? Is it the first three? I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Is it Restaurant at the End of the Universe and Goodbye and is it Goodbye and Thanks for All the Fish? Is that the first three? I've read those anyway. I know there's more, but I haven't read those. And I've watched the TV series. Never listened to the radio version. And I watched the film with Martin Freeman. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Right. Anyway. But the TV series is amazing. Probably looks a bit dated now. I haven't seen it for a long time. Right, let's get on with this news before I forget. Right, I'll make myself tiny. I was going to do it a different way today, and I've forgot what to press. Is it that one or that one? I think it's that one. But it hasn't worked. Why hasn't it worked? Don't know. Should have made me smart. Maybe I've got to add that first. There we go. Yes, that's what I have to do. And make that full screen so you're not seeing all my tabs. Right. So there we go. I've done it like this because I realised I was covering my ugly mug up, which isn't a bad thing. Every time I did that, basically. But anyway, Wingress says he named himself Ford Prefect because he mistook cars for the main life form on Earth. Oh, was that the reasoning? All right. I can't remember. That's it. It's a long time since I've read the books. But I know he picked the name Ford Prefect because he thought it was an unassuming Earth name, and he thought it'd blend in with it. But anyway, right. First off, huge Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 status update given by executive producer, Star Trek Prodigy executive producer Aaron J. However you pronounce that, Valtke, no idea. What's that doing there? Well, I've noticed with this Windows 11. Look, it's doing it up. Yes, it is. It's giving me. Oh, you can't see it on yours. On my window, I've got a little box has shown up, and it's it's dictating my words into text. Most bizarre. I don't know how to turn it off. I know I can press X and get rid of the box, but it just keeps popping up randomly. Anyway, Star Trek Prodigy executive producer Aaron J. Valtke, I say it like that, delivers an exciting update, status update on the progress of Season 2's episodes. Remember, this were cancelled. We've got exciting update on Season 2. Despite being cancelled by Paramount Plus, Prodigy is still actively being shopped around to find a new streaming service. First 10 episodes of blah, blah, blah. They're the bullet points. Right. Star Trek Prodigy. Can you read it? Yes. Star Trek Prodigy executive producer Aaron J. Valtke. Sorry. Shared an exciting status update on Season 2's episodes as an animated series and one of the only Star Trek projects not subject to SAG-AFTRA rules. I wonder why. Star Trek Prodigy took centre stage at Star Trek Las Vegas' 57-year mission and released 4 minutes of footage from Season 2's premiere episode. I think I covered it on Sunday, didn't I? The sneak peek at Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 revealed the return of the Doctor, Robert Picardo, not Doctor Who, from Star Trek Voyager, and unveiled the new USS Voyager A, a Lamar-class science vessel, to be captained by Admiral Catherine Janeway. Kate Mulgrew, remember, named after Hedy Lamarr, the actress and scientist. She invented something to do with like wireless communications or something. Basically, the basics of like Bluetooth. She invented that, or she was connected with the invention of it. Apparently. Right. Where were we? On Twitter, Aaron J. Valtke, I don't know, clarified the state of Star Trek Prodigy's Season 2's 20 episodes, which are still being completed, despite Prodigy's cancellation by Paramount Plus back in June. Don't understand why. It's baffling. The beloved Star Trek all-ages animated series is actively being shopped around to find a new streaming service to call home. And I don't understand why they removed it from the service. But all the other Star Treks are on there. Why have they got rid of that one? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Meanwhile, check out Waltke's status report on Star Trek Prodigy Season 2's episodes and when they'll be finished below. Here it is. For those asking, he says in Twitter, X, sorry. For those asking where we are with Season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy, we are continuing production on the final episodes now. Writing, voice recording, and animatics for all 20 are completed. Animation nearly so. Episodes 201 to 210, that would mean the 200 episodes, it means Season 2, episodes 1 to 10, are finished, locked, the rest by January. Right, going by Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 production schedule, I don't know. Oh, Windgrace is educating us now. Animation is part of the IATSE union and not related to the SAG or writers. All right, I see. Fair enough. Right. The first 10 episodes of Season 2 would have been ready to be released on Paramount Plus in the fall, autumn, as per its original plan before they abruptly cancelled the series, depending on when Prodigy secures a new streaming distributor. All 20 episodes of Season 2 could even be ready to be released uninterrupted instead of in 2 10-episode chunks, the way Paramount Plus released Star Trek Prodigy Season 1. And there they are from, that's a still from the clip that they released over the weekend. The enticing teasers dropped by Star Trek Prodigy's producers and what was seen in the 4-minute clip released at Star Trek Las Vegas indicate that Prodigy Season 2's master plan is even more ambitious than Season 1. Admiral Janeway, joined by the ragtag former crew of the USS Protostar, who are now Starfleet Academy hopefuls, intends to lead the highly advanced USS Voyager A starship into a wormhole to rescue Captain Chakotay, Robert Beltran, who is trapped on the planet Solum in an alternate future timeline. Meanwhile, Gwyn, Ella Purnell, is travelling to 24th century Solum to try to prevent the Vauna Cat's future war with Starfleet. Windgrace says, really don't care for those uniforms, but I guess it's something. No, they're not very, they're not over attractive, are they, to be honest? But I can't see many cosplayers in those, but you never know. They might grow on us. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't entirely fond of when I first watched like Enterprise, you know, the like boiler suits that they wore for uniforms in Enterprise, but they grew on me. I've even got one upstairs. I don't think it fit me now. I'll probably be able to pull the zip up, all bursting open. But anyway. Right, where were we? And that is just a tiny percentage of what Star Trek Prodigy's producers have hinted is in store for Season 2. I thought they had another Protostar ship. I thought they had or was it the Voyager A that were revealed at the end of Season 1. I'm sure they'd like give a brief glimpse, didn't they, of the new Protostar, or was it the Voyager A? I don't know, I can't remember. Aaron J. Voltke has indicated, I've got to like say his full name every time, has indicated that he sees Prodigy not just as a sequel to Star Trek Voyager, but as a sequel to all of Star Trek. Even the Star Trek that's yet to happen, like Picard. Anyway, Voltke, oh no, you don't have to say his full name, also teased that the entire franchise of Star Trek will tie into Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. Executive producers Kevin and Dan Hageman, whatever, also told the fans at Star Trek Las Vegas that they are 99% certain that their active talks will result in a new streaming home for Star Trek Prodigy, and fans will get to see their ambitious plans for Season 2 come to fruition. Source. Should be X, not Twitter. So there we go. Hopefully it's going to happen. It'll probably be Amazon or Netflix, won't it? I know Windgrace favours Netflix, but like I said, the Star Trek Kurtzman Trek's got like a bit of a track record with Amazon at the moment, anyway, because Lower Decks is still airing, isn't it, on Amazon internationally. But we will see. We will see what happens. It'll be one of those, won't it? It won't be like Shudder or whatever. It won't be a period on Shudder. Or one of the others. I shouldn't imagine. Right. we'll leave it there. We'll move on. But I'm looking forward to season 2 because I do enjoy Lower Decks. I bought season 1 on Amazon. I'm still watching it. I haven't got round to finishing it yet, but I've watched it once before. It'll be nice to see what happens in season 2. And speaking of animated Star Trek, I've done a total 180. It is 180, isn't it? Yeah, totally. About Lower Decks. Remember, I used to hate that show, and now I really like it. And I can't wait for season, is it 4 that's next? Whatever the next season is. Can't wait for that to start in September. I'm sure I read somewhere it's coming in September. Right, we'll move on. Oh, why have I gone big? Oh, never mind. Right. It automatically made me big. Go away with your privacy notices. Right. Go away. Right. So I've got to do this again, have I? Go on then. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you? Why are you making me small? Go on then. I've pressed it. Oh, because I haven't added it to stream. I'm dead thick. There we go. I tell you, I'm useless. Windgrace says, hang on. First he said they would prefer Amazon. Just think they might have better relationship with the flicks. Yeah. I thought you said Netflix, but because they've worked with them on Troll Hunters or something, haven't they? Which is a Netflix show. But whatever, either will do for me. I think Netflix is Amazon's a bit hit and miss, isn't it? Sometimes with its quality, its streaming quality. Well, it is for me anyway. But all right, Netflix is. Oh, were you being like Deadline using your lingo and jargon? But anyway, there we go. September 7th is the new Lower Decks. There we go. Yes, being cute. Anyway, you can just stop it off, young man. Right. I'll have to make this a bit bigger so we can read it. Let's have a look. Did it? That's better, isn't it? Right. This Star Wars auction could put Han Solo's blaster or Chewbacca's bowcaster in your hands. Bust open. By the way, all the links for all these stories are in the description down below. And later on, when it's done, and I get round to it, I'll be putting timestamps in all the links, so you can just click to whatever part of the video you want to, if you want to rewatch something. God knows why, but I'll be doing that later. Right, there's Han and Chewie saying Chewie, we're home, which had everybody crying for Force Awakens. But anyway, not many people crying at Star Wars now, except how bad it is. Anyway, owning an authentic piece of Hollywood history from one of our favourite sci-fi franchises, excuse me, like Star Wars or Star Trek, is the ultimate dream of any fan, even if the reality of laying down a winning bid during any major movie and TV memorabilia auction is a remote possibility. Nevertheless, it's a weird word, isn't it? Nevertheless, but anyway, it costs nothing to fantasize unless you've just won the lottery about the chance to take home a coveted screen-used prop, costume, weapon, or accessory worn by some famous star in a favourite geeky film or television series. I don't think I've got anything that's of that nature. Don't think. I bought me mate, but his birthday or Christmas, I can't remember. It might have been his birthday. Some screen used props from something that I can't remember what. But it was to do with World War II. It was some like papers that were on a desk somewhere, in this whatever. I think it was either a film or a TV series. I can't remember what it was. It'll have been a film. What was it now? I can't remember. But so he's got that. I've got a script for Star Trek: The Next Generation episode. Transfigurations, and apparently it's an actual script. I don't know whose it was, but I've got that. That's all I've got. Windgrace wants a thermal detonator so I can use it for my Picard season 3 cosplay. Aye, yes. Hey. Anyway, where were we? Right. Julian's Auctions and Turner Classic Movies just took the wrapper off their exclusive gathering of more than 1,400 enticing collectibles with deep connections to Hollywood past and present for the Legends Hollywood and Royalty auction taking place live from September 6th to September 8th in Beverly Hills, California. And there's the poster for it. So I wonder if that hat's up for auction. Bet it is. Bet it is. Right. Fans can experience this dazzling collection in person. By the way, it's Humphrey Bogart, isn't it? And Lauren Bacall, I believe. Is it? It is actually them, isn't it? It's not somebody pretending to be them. Anyway. Right. Fans can experience this dazzling collection in person via exclusive exhibitions, events, catalogues, on-air and online programming on the company's channels and social media platforms prior to the first lots coming across the auction block. In the sci-fi arena, besides the auction featuring William Shatner's maroon Starfleet officer's jacket worn by William Shatner as Admiral James T. Kirk in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, estimate 100,000 to 200,000 bucks, as they say across the pond. And an original Borg Cube studio model constructed by Industrial Light and Magic for Star Trek First Contact, estimate $50,000 to $70,000. Let's target some desirable Star Wars lots for sale. And there's a Han Solo blaster. Oh, that's from A New Hope, it says. Highlights include Princess Leia's sexy production-made slave costume from Star Wars Return of the Jedi, $20,000 to $30,000. Is that all? Stingy, isn't it? Han Solo's DL-44 blaster, $15,000 to $20,000, and Chewbacca's bowcaster from The Force Awakens, estimate $40,000 to $60,000. Pedro Pascal's trusty, I keep saying trusty, don't I? Trusty IB-94. Actually, they didn't say trusty, did they? Where have I got trusty from? Does it say somewhere else? No. Never mind. Pedro Pascal's trusty IB-94 blaster pistol from The Mandalorian. From The Mandalorian? No, in The Mandalorian. What is Pedro Pascal? Oh, no, it is No. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Diego Luna. Yes, Pedro Pascal plays The Mandalorian, doesn't he? Diego Luna's Andor, isn't he? I'm getting me Latino fellas mixed up. Pedro Pascal's trusty IB-94 blaster pistol from The Mandalorian, 10 to 20 grand. Will also be a hot item, as well as Don Post, C-3PO and R2-D2 display statues. And there's Chewie's bowcaster, presumably from The Force Awakens. And somebody must have the ones from the original trilogy. Already, Julian's Auctions is located at 257 North Cannon Drive, Beverly Hills, California. A free pre-auction public exhibition will occur from August 28th to September 1st and September 5th to 11 from September 5th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Registration is open. Oh, there's Din Djarin's IB-94 blaster. The Legends Hollywood and Royalty auction begins at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 1700 GMT, which I think is 1800 British Summertime, which is what we're in now. I think it's either 16 or 80. I can't remember. Each day starting on September 6th and running through September 8th. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Right. There you go. So if you're in the area or online and you've got several $1,000s burning a hole in your pocket, get some cool stuff. Screen used clobber. Not that I can afford it. Spent all my money on a new bloody computer. Right. We'll see what's next. See if I can work this out. Back to Star Trek. We're going to going backwards and forwards. Star Trek, Star Wars. What else have we got? Bit of Blade Runner, RoboCop, and Indiana Jones. I forgot what I'm doing now. Oh, that. I'll have to make that big. There we go. Right. So is this going to work if I just do that? It does. Yeah. See, I'm getting the hang of this now. Right, Zachary Quinto says creative differences delaying Star Trek 4. He's happy handing off Spock to Ethan Peck. And there's Zachary Quinto and Ethan Peck. Right, Zachary Quinto was one of the headliners at the 57-year mission convention at Las Vegas and the most prominent member of the Kelvin cast to appear on stage. As with all of the other SAG actors at the event, Quinto stuck to the rules of not talking in detail about his work on Star Trek or other projects, but he did make some comments about the impact the franchise had on him and the potential of returning to the role of Spock for a fourth time. He was also joined on stage by Strange New World star Ethan Peck for a meeting of the Spocks. It's been over 7 years since the release of Star Trek Beyond, the third film in the Kelvin timeline movies produced by J.J. Abrams. I didn't mind Star Trek Beyond, although, I did have some problems with it. The motorbike, for one, the ugliness of the Enterprise, the massive starbase Yorktown, just like seemed like a million years in advance of what the Federation should have. But apart from that, it was fine. It was fun. Anyway, I didn't like the I forgot the name of it now. The Franklin, the USS Franklin, having a bridge window. Shouldn't have had that because it was from before. It was actually from the original timeline, wasn't it? But anyway, never mind. There have been a number of starts and stops for new Trek projects at Paramount Pictures since then, like a planned 2023 movie getting removed from Paramount's release calendar last year after delays led to director Matt Shackman exiting the project. During the Q&A, a fan asked Quinto if he believed the proliferation of streaming Star Trek shows on Paramount Plus was the reason Paramount hasn't moved forward on another Star Trek film since Beyond. Quinto didn't see it that way, saying, "I don't think that has anything to do with it. Actually, I think the more there is, the more it gets people excited about what could be." I suppose. Oh, there was Scott Mantz. He's popping up everywhere, isn't he, Scott Mantz? These days. Anyway, Quinto then gave his assessment over the delay and likelihood of another Kelvin movie. "I think there's a lot of other stuff, creative things. It's complicated. The fact that anything good gets made is kind of a miracle." Yeah, it is, because a lot of stuff that gets made isn't good. But anyway, I think it's about different people having different agendas and ideas about what it will be, and I don't know if and when it will happen, and if it coalesces again and we come back and we're able to do it, wonderful. If not, we had a great run. I don't think we're going to see him again. I don't think we are. Since early 2022, when producer J.J. Abrams and Paramount announced the Star Trek 4 project that was to be released this year, it wasn't really Paramount, it was just J.J. Abrams that kind of announced it, wasn't it? Anyway, members of the cast, including Quinto, have expressed their interest in returning. But they were kind of surprised at the announcement because they were always saying, "Well, nobody said anything to us." Anyway. However, some have also noted the difficulty of aligning the schedules for all the stars. Late last year, Zoe Saldana also said she felt the delay was more than just scheduling. Remember, Zoe Saldana plays Uhura in the J.J. Abrams films. Last year, Chris Pine expressed concerns that Paramount was shooting for $1 billion box office movie. Ha! Arguing, "I've always thought that Star Trek should operate in the zone that is smaller." Oh, it's best concerns, right? I see. Should operate in the zone that is smaller. It's not a Marvel appeal, which is true. The Star Trek films have never really been huge box office hits. They're a niche market, really, even though there's like millions and millions and millions of Star Trek fans, and it's part of the the lexicon is Star Trek quotes and stuff like that. Everybody knows who Captain Kirk is. I bet if you go into the middle of the Amazon rainforest and find a tribe that's never been in contact with humans, they'll still be doing that and saying, "Live long and prosper." And of course, everybody knows what Star Trek is, even if you've never seen it. Anyway, the last official word from Abrams was back in March when he talked up the project, telling Esquire magazine he felt the planned fourth movie had a story that feels as compelling as the first one. However, Paramount and Abrams have yet to hire a new director or put a Star Trek project back on the release calendar. So they've got a story then. They must have a story. But there's Zachary as Spock. And the cast. I say I'm not a fan of the J.J. Abrams films. I said Beyond were by far the best one, but it did have problems. Into Darkness is terrible. The first one, I don't hate it, but I don't like it either very much. But the cast were fine. The cast did their jobs. They were good as Spock, and Chris Pine were good as Kirk, and I said they all did the jobs, did what was asked of them. So that's all you can. That's the best you can say. Right, during his panel, Zachary Quinto spoke about his relationship with Leonard Nimoy. The pair formed a bond during the filming of the 2009 Star Trek movie and remained close until Nimoy's passing in 2015. When asked about taking on the iconic role, Quinto pointed out how important Nimoy was for him. Quote, I was so fortunate because of Leonard Nimoy's involvement in the process, and the one thing I could never have anticipated was how instrumental he would become in my life personally. But from a creative standpoint, from a professional standpoint, having that relationship and that introduction to this world helped me understand the character. I think it also helped audiences accept me as this new version of the character. And for that, I was so eternally grateful. But it was really that friendship that became one of the greatest gifts, I would say the greatest, of playing this role of Spock in the Star Trek universe has been the friendships that have come out of it. My brotherhood with Chris Pine and my relationship with Leonard and his family and with the whole cast. Oh, it's very nice, heartwarming. And there they are in the 2009 flick. But Wingrace says, I like 2009 outside of the horrible Romulus implications we've been dealing with in the main universe ever since. Well, yeah. As I don't hate it, but just there's bits in it that annoy me. Transwarp beaming, for one. The horrible Augustus Gloop in the water pipes. That bit, I hated that bit. The engine room of the Enterprise, filmed in a brewery, and it just looks like a brewery. That was terrible. But the story itself, wasn't terrible. But it could have been a lot better. But like I say, I didn't hate it. So what he's saying is maybe the real Star Trek was the friends we made along the way. Yes, very, very diplomatic. Hey, right. Life's a journey. Life is a Star Trek, isn't it? As the Earth spins through the eternal void of space. Anyway, during Quinto's panel, the organisers brought Star Trek Strange New World star Ethan Peck onto the stage for an unplanned meeting of the Spocks. It was planned. Although they have spoken before, this was their first time meeting in person. They greeted each other with this exchange. Quinto, this is great, right? This is the nature of the Star Trek universe. It evolves and changes, and we all bring our own perspectives and experience to it. Nothing is more exciting than that. So that's what he said. That's the first thing you said to him, is it? Peck, this is momentous. It is awesome to be with you. Which is more like it, when you first meet somebody. Anyway, after speaking together on stage for a little while as the panel was coming to a close, Quinto described how he felt about the event and about Ethan Peck, seeing a bit of a parallel in how, like with Nimoy, he's happy to see the role played by a new actor. Excuse me, my voice is going a bit peculiar. By the way, there's a Star Trek convention coming up in the UK. I know I've said it before. In a couple of weeks, I think 18th to the 20th of August. I'm hoping to go, but I don't think I'm going to be able to go. Which is a shame, because I'd been able to meet Jess Bush and Christina Chong. But never mind. Anyway, right. I just want to say before we finish up, who's saying this, by the way? Quinto. I just want to say before we finish up how grateful I feel to be here and how I feel like my experience in this world, it's evolved into other iterations and other forums, and to be able to share the stage with the person to whom I'm now passing the mantle to in a lot of ways, who is engaging you all in these stories from the perspective of this character now into the future. It's really exciting. It's really gratifying. You all are really a truly wonderful fan base, and I feel heartened and just optimistic. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of ways in which we can feel really discouraged about humanity, but this collection of people in this franchise and what it's based on is not one of them. And so I feel really happy to be here with you all. Ooh, craggy. Sorry, I'm burping. I need one of the microphones like Brian's got. You can turn off by doing that. Anyway. Well, that's it. No, that's the end. We're ending on a nice little passage from Zachary Quinto. But yeah, like I said, I have nothing against Zachary Quinto. I have nothing against Ethan Peck because I like Strange New Worlds, and I don't mind his interpretation of Spock. To be completely honest, I didn't like the short trek where him and Spock and Number One were trapped in the turbo lift. Hated that. But apart from that, I'm quite enjoying them. But we'll see. But I don't think Star Trek 4 is happening. The new Star Trek 4, not the Voyage Home. I don't think it'll happen, to be honest. But you never know. Never say never. Anyway, right. Let's move on. We're only 3 in and we've been at it over half an hour. Right, Star Wars next. I forgot how to do this. Oh, it's that, isn't it? Let's make this bigger. There we go. Right, Ahsoka star Rosario Dawson shares reaction to new look. Rosario Dawson was absolutely stoked on her new look for Star Wars Ahsoka. I'm actually quite looking forward to Star Wars Ahsoka, to be honest. I'll just call it Ahsoka. Even though a lot of people are saying, "No, it's going to be all," it's like the MCU, it's the Star Wars CU, whatever. But we'll see, won't we? But if they do a good job, whatever. And if it's an interesting story, cool. But we'll see what happens. Right, Star Wars Ahsoka star Rosario Dawson shared her reaction to her new look in the Disney Plus series. The actress caught up with is it Entertainment Weekly, whatever. Before the actors' strike began, she had to tell them about the first time she put on the makeup and prosthetics for the show. It turns out that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau heard the fan outcry about Ahsoka Tano's appearance in the other Disney Plus Star Wars shows. I think, no, she was in Mandalorian, wasn't she? Season 2. And the other one, Book of Boba Fett. And decided to lengthen her leaky. You mean Leku? L-E-K-K-U, innit? Leaky. Those striped head tails. The change was met with approval from a lot of fans, and probably more importantly, Dawson herself. Check out how she described that first time in front of a mirror down below. What do you mean, down below? I was literally doing jumping jacks, Dawson chuckled with the outlet. I remember seeing John and Dave's faces like, ooh, did we make the right decision? She's a little bit hyped fangirl. Anyway, back at Star Wars Celebration, Filoni would tell EW that moments like this sealed the deal about her casting in his mind. I was very fortunate, he recalled. The whole thing kind of came together for me with Rosario when we talked with her, and when she put on the costume and became Ahsoka. I was like, this is going to work. It really was as simple as that. But everybody wanted Ashley Epstein, didn't they? Is it Epstein? Eckstein, Ashley Eckstein to be Ahsoka, didn't they? But I suppose they wanted somebody, I don't know, maybe a little bit older looking. I don't know what's the imposing, statuesque. Because Ashley Eckstein's tiny, isn't she? She did the voice, by the way, for Ahsoka in Clone Wars and Rebels. And we all wanted her to be a live action Ahsoka because I think she cosplayed as her, didn't she? At Star Wars Celebration or Comic Con or whatever, and looked cool. But anyway, right. Elsewhere in that feature story, Filoni goes on record about how they made the decision to roll on with Rosario Dawson for Ahsoka. He enlisted the help of Kathleen Kennedy. when he was debating. By the way, there's lots of rumours that she's been fired. Lots of people are picking up on that. She hasn't. When he was debating giving the actress the role, fans on social media had lobbied for Dawson, and that caught the executive producer's eye. Have they? That's the first I've seen of it. But like with any big decision, that kernel of doubt, I mean, fans on social media probably wanted Ashley Eckstein to be Ahsoka, didn't they? Anyway, I forgot what I want now. But like with any big decision, that kernel of doubt never truly goes away. The Lucasfilm boss told Filoni to trust his intuition to guide him to the right choice. In other words, like, I can't be bothered with this. Make your own mind up. Yes, Kennedy fired, rumors, shocked. Yeah. She's not. She's not. She'll retire, with all the plaudits and everything from the industry. She'll get an honorary Oscar. She will. That's how she'll go. I forgot where we're on now. It seems like that choice is paying off, and Star Wars Ahsoka hasn't even begun yet. It goes back to a quote that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy gave me. This is a quote, by the way. When I was really going over the casting of Ahsoka, Filoni explained. I said, "How do you know when it's the right person?" And she just looked at me and said, "I don't know. I just make coffee for Steven Spielberg." No, she didn't. She said, "Dave, you just know." And she was right. I just knew it. I just knew when it was Rosario, and that kind of brought Ahsoka together for me, and off we ran. Justice for Ashley. That's what I say. All of the animated Star Wars shows loom large over Star Wars Ahsoka. Just call it Ahsoka. It's as bad as bloody Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Just call it Rogue One. Anyway, because the Force user has such a long history in the franchise now, the creative team really had to labour to lock this one down. Oh, by the way, I saw a headline. I'm wondering whether to include it as a story, but I thought, nah, I can't be bothered. But the headline was something along the lines of, I didn't read it, by the way, just the headline I'm going by. I forgot her name now. Her that plays Sabine Wren in Ahsoka proves that you don't have to have force powers to be a Jedi. Yeah. Somebody else will pick up on that in this arena. You don't have to have force powers to be a Jedi. Anybody can be a Jedi now. We all get a prize. Anyway, where were we? I forgot where I want to start again. Because the Force user has such a long history in the franchise now, the creative team really had to labour to lock this one down. It feels like it's a precarious situation to be in. People really love Clone Wars and Rebels, but Ahsoka Tano's been clearly set up as a player in the live-action Star Wars TV shows. Dawson understands that dance and argues that you should go back and watch Ahsoka's earlier adventures too. With Star Wars fans, there's folks who really just watch the films, but now, and especially with The Mandalorian, more and more people are watching the live action shows. And then there are people who watch the animated shows, and there are people who watch both. I think like 99.9% of Star Wars fans will watch both, won't they? Anyway, Dawson argued to the Hollywood Reporter there's even a tier beyond that with all the books and fan fiction. So there's different levels to the Star Wars family, and it's always been very highly considered to make sure everyone can watch it. And then I think it's just going into who's in it and all that jazz. But Winggrace is telling us, is educating us again. Jedi is a state of mind. You need the Force to be a Jedi. You've got to have a midi-chlorian count for a start. Anyway, don't start with your non-force stuff. Just got a news alert about Shatner, by the way. Not sure if it's on your list, but it might be worth looking into. Oh, I'll have a look now then. I'll have a look. I hope it's not bad news. Don't scare me. But anyway, Matt Ahsoka, I'm actually looking forward to it because the trailer looks good. And with Ray Stevenson as that kind of baddie fella with the orange lightsabers. Looks good. The late Ray Stevenson. So I'm looking forward to it. We will see. We will see. Hopefully it'll be good. But you never know. Right. Right. So let me have a look for this William Shatner news. What do you say? I just got a news alert about Shatner. So I'll just go onto Google. I'll just type in William Shatner and see if it anything pops up. I'll go on to news. Is it this one? No, that's from yesterday. Go to tools, sort by date. Right. That's still from that. Is it the inducted into San Diego Air and Space Museum's International Hall of Fame? Is it that one? Yeah, probably, because that's seems to be what everybody's talking about. Pretty much. They're the top stories. Well, we'll go with it. Which one shall I pick? Well, we'll try that one. No, we won't. We'll try that one. Because that's an actual news site. Right, so I'll move this up. So we've got an extra news story. I forgot where I was now. There we go. Right, so off we go. Bonus news. News just in, thanks to Windgrace. William Shatner to be inducted into San Diego Air and Space Museum Hall of Fame. And there he is, the legend. I've got a photo with him. Not that they had much to say. In fact, they didn't say anything. It was just a case of get in, take a picture, get out, next. Anyway, William Shatner is set to be inducted. Oh, let's make this bigger. Am I pressing the right button? No, it's that one, isn't it? Yeah, he's steady. William Shatner is set to be inducted into the San Diego Air and Space Museum's International Hall of Fame. Because remember, he's Canadian, or originally was. On October 13th, 2021, Shatner became the oldest person to go into space at the age of 90. I thought we were 89 at the time. Probably wrong. Aboard the Blue Origin NS-18. New Shepard, that stands for. We're exceptionally pleased to honour this exemplary class of 2023 because these men and women represent a vast range of the ongoing advances in aviation and space exploration. Not really space exploration, was it? Just like went up and came back down again. Said Jim Kidrick, President and CEO of the San Diego Air and Space Museum. Achievements in aviation and space as embodied by the honorees in the prestigious International Air and Space Hall of Fame directly represents the human pioneering spirit and pursuit of mankind's final frontiers. See what they did there? This is a can't miss event and something every guest will remember for the rest of their lives. Guests come from all over the globe just to be in the room with the honorees and join in this momentous celebration. Oh, that's it. Very good. When was that again? October 13th. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe it'll be on YouTube for us to watch. We will see. So there we go. So congratulations, William Shatner, because he went into space. Just about. He didn't go into orbit or anything. He just went up and came back down again. He wasn't pulling levers and doing stuff, you know. Basically, on that New Shepard thing, the cargo out there, they're up and down. They don't do anything. Right, so we'll move on. Congratulations, Bill. Because we like that, you know. Right, Ridley Scott. Remember him? Ridley Scott, right. Sorry if you can hear fireworks. There'll be loads of fireworks going off. There's last about 2 or 3 days, and like lots of celebrations. And I don't know if there's some festival or something. So we've got a large Muslim community round here. My neighbours are here, so they're always bringing me curries and biryanis and rice and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know if there's some festival going on. I don't know, but anyway. So if you can hear that, I've got the background, you know, there's a thing on StreamYard to eliminate background noises, so you probably can't hear it. Right, Ridley Scott shares sequel to classic film he regrets passing up on. Right, Ridley Scott has admitted he regrets not directing the sequel to his 1982 sci-fi classic Blade Runner. All right, Wingre says, I hear nothing. Okay, fair enough. I could. There were lots of fireworks going off. Oh, pardon me. We had a marching band come up the street yesterday, banging the drums and playing on some sort of horn and stuff. Got my son cross because it interrupted him from his whatever he were doing, gaming. I said, Ian, they'll be gone in a minute. In the what? Right, 2017's what was that? 2017's Blade Runner 2049, the Yawn Fest. I didn't like it. Was instead directed by Denis Villeneuve, Dune, and lots of other stuff. Arrival, another Yawn Fest, and Sicario, which is really good. Anyway, and starred Ryan Gosling, Anna de Armas. Sorry, because she's lovely. And Jared Leto, alongside Harrison Ford and Dave Bautista, reprising his role from the original film. Scott was initially attached to the sequel. However, he announced in 2014 that he had to pass up the opportunity due to a scheduling conflict. The English filmmaker instead helmed Alien Covenant. Bloody hate that film. It's awful. One of the worst films ever made. My mate liked it. They were awful. Starring Michael Fassbender, Catherine Waterston, Billy Crudup, and Danny McBride. I hate that film. And I'm not going to be brought round. I used to hate Lower Decks, didn't I? And I've changed my mind about that. But no, Alien Covenant, no. I've not changed my mind about that. Awful film. Anyway, he says, I shouldn't, I shouldn't have had to make that decision, Scott told Empire in a recent interview, but I had to. I should have done Blade Runner 2. The director will return in a producing role, though, for the forthcoming Amazon Studio series Blade Runner 2099. Didn't even know that were happening. First I've heard of that. It's all set years on. Well, yeah, 2099. To me, it circles the idea of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, Scott said. And there's Anna de Armas as a big hologram. And you see everything. As Patrick Stewart might say. Right, the original Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott. Like I say, it looked nice. Did Blade Runner 2049. It looked lovely, but the film itself was a yawn fest. Anyway, but I've got to be honest. Originally, I wasn't a huge fan of the original Blade Runner. I've always liked it. I think I've always had it on VHS and all that. I've now got it on Blu-ray somewhere, probably. But it's not a film. It's not a film I love. People rave about it, don't they? But I do enjoy it, and I think its effects are amazing, and the score is amazing, and it's more of an experience than a film to me. It's a bit like 2001 or Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It's something to experience rather than enjoy watching, if you know what I mean. I'm waffling. Anyway, right, where were we? The original Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott, is considered one of the greatest and most influential science fiction movies of all time. Just after I've said all that. And we're excited to introduce Blade Runner 2099 to our global Prime Video customers, said Vernon Sanders, head of global television at Amazon Studios, in their announcement last year. I bet if they've got like Blade Runner units in, I bet they're like I bet it's a woman. I bet it is. I bet it's a woman. Anyway, we are honoured to be able to present this continuation of the Blade Runner franchise and are confident that by teaming up with Ridley, Alcon Entertainment, Scott Free Productions, and the remarkably talented Silke Louisa, who the hell's that? Blade Runner 2099 will uphold the intellect, themes, and spirits of its film predecessors. I'm going to have to look that up now. I'm presuming it's a woman. I'll do a Google search. It's a writer. She is a writer. Silke Louisa, if I'm pronouncing it right, is known for Shining Girls, Halo 2022, which I don't think got a resounding stamp of confidence from the public. I think I saw episode 1. I didn't watch any more. And Blade Runner 2099. Is that it? What else has she done? I'm looking at IMDb now, by the way. Strange Angel. She did 9. Produced that on 9 episodes. That's about it, really. The Wilding. So I don't know. So she's obviously writing it. So yes, the main character will be a woman. Bet it is. Where were we? I've said that bit. The show's pilot will be directed by Game of Thrones director Jeremy Podeswa. Filming for the series has reportedly been delayed until spring 2024 due to the writers and actors' strikes. Meanwhile, Scott is currently working on another sequel to one of his modern classics, Gladiator. Gladiator 2 is led... I don't think they'll be calling it that, will they? They can't. Anyway, whatever. Is led by Normal People star Paul Mescal. He plays an adult Lucius, nephew of Joaquin Phoenix's Emperor Commodus from the 2000 film. That's probably... I don't know. I often think that the Gladiator or Black Hawk Down are Ridley Scott's best films, in my opinion. An Alien. Wingray says, was just looking up Halo and I came across a 2014 film called Halo Nightfall, which stars Christina Chong. Well, I should be looking into this. Oh, right. I think I've heard of that. I haven't seen it. I know they've done some like animated Halo films, haven't they? And I think they've done some others as well. I can't remember. I say I'm never a huge Halo fan anyway. I think I played the first game on PC and I used a cheat to get to the end because I'm rubbish at games. I think I used like God mode so I didn't die so I could finish it. I think that's the only one I've played all the way through. But as I said, I had to cheat to do it because I'm rubbish. Anyway, where am I? Denzel Washington, or is it Denzel? I've heard people say it's Denzel. I would just say Denzel. Washington, Joseph Quinn, Fred Hettinger, Pedro Pascal, who we mentioned earlier, Connie Nielsen, the lovely Connie Nielsen, who remember was in the original, playing Lucius's mother, Jimon Honsu, who was also in the original, and Derek Jacobi, who was also in the original. Also star the last 3 reprising their roles. Russell Crowe has confirmed that his lead character, Maximus Decimus Meridius, father of a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I shall have my vengeance in this world or the next. Whatever. Anyway, from the original film, will not return because he's dead. Anyway, in the recent interview, but you'd have thought, I bet they have flashbacks with him in it. They've got to have, haven't they? I bet he is in it in some way, but probably using unused footage or something in flashbacks. We'll see. In a recent interview, Paramount executives revealed that Mescal's shirtless scenes in the West End's A Streetcar Named Desire revival convinced them he was right for the Gladiator sequel. He played Stanley, and then only thing I know about Streetcar Named Desire is when they did it on The Simpsons, and it was Homer's neighbour. I forgot his name now. Oakley Dokley fella. Did his shirt off with his 6-pack and everything. That's all I know about Streetcar Named Desire. Anyway, when he takes off his shirt, and it was electric, Paramount co-head Daria Chek said, Gladiator 2 is set to be released in cinemas on 22nd of November 2024. Hopefully it'll be good. The first one, I love Gladiator, the first one. As I said, I think it's his best film, along with Alien and Black Hawk Down. But he's a bit hit and miss, isn't he, Ridley Scott? Especially when he starts gabbing and opening his gob and saying ridiculous stuff. Right. What's Homer's neighbour called now? Ned Flanders, that's it, Ned Flanders. Got there, right. He of the 6-pack and Oakley Dokley. Right, Star Wars next. Windgrace is off looking up Halo Nightfall now. He is. Did you never watch Seinfeld? Is that no? I've never seen an episode of Seinfeld. I don't even know if they showed it over here. Yeah, I know what you meant. No, I don't know. It might have been on over here. I don't know, but I've never watched it. Never seen an episode of it. There's lots of stuff I've not watched. Right, where were we? Right. Andy Serkis, Star Wars. Andy Serkis, is that his new series? We've had Star Wars Ahsoka, now we've got Star Wars Andy Serkis. Addresses future for Andor character. We don't see him die. Kino Loy was easily the most popular guest character in Andor season 1. Well, yeah, probably. Could he be making a return in season 2? After an acclaimed 12-episode run last year, I don't know if it were acclaimed. Anyway, Winker says, "Oh, okay, they did an episode with streetcar reference." Yeah. Obviously, I'd heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. I know it's a film. Is it? I know it's a film, isn't it? Is it Marlon Brando? I think, isn't it? Probably wrong. I've never seen it. Oh, I'd have a drink here. Right, where were we? After an acclaimed, or not, 12-episode run last year, it was good though. I did enjoy it, but I don't think it got very many views, did it? Star Wars Andor is returning for a second season at some point in the future. We did a story, didn't we, on Sunday, where they're like dismantling the sets in the British countryside because of the strike. Basically, that's what they're saying anyway. So it's all been delayed, but we'll see what happens. Right, the second installment of the series will bring the story of Cassian Andor to the start of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, completing Tony Gilroy's prequel treatment. We know Diego Luna's Cassian will be back for another round of action, but one of the lingering questions fans have about the new season is whether or not Season 1's most popular guest star will be back. Kino Loy, played by Andy Serkis, left a mark with his multi-episode stint in the latter half of Andor Season 1. His arc ended with a massive prison escape, leaving Kino's future open-ended. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Serkis was asked about a potential return for Kino in Andor Season 2. Remember, he couldn't swim. They were jumping. For some reason, they'd gone all the way up to the top, I think, or nearly there. And they were just jumping like hundreds of feet down into the water to swim, to freedom. And he says, I can't swim. Learn on the way down, basically. That's what you should do, shouldn't you? That's what they say about flying. Quote, well, there weren't really many discussions about the afterlife of Kino. All that we do know is that when I see Kino, I always think of Stargate Universe. They had those little balls that were sent through the gate, didn't they? Those little floating balls with cameras on. They were called Kinos. Anyway, all that we do know is that he survives. I mean, we don't see him die. We see him left for a further life of the character, Serkis explained. But prior to that, there were no discussions at all about what might happen afterwards. I was just excited enough about the arc that I had to play, which was a really beautifully crafted illustration of a man who has a belief system that gets broken, that then has nothing to believe in, and then gets that kind of reignited by someone who inspires him to find himself again, and then self-sacrifices. So it was a really extraordinary journey to go on within a prison setting, and a very sterile prison setting. Quite a heartfelt journey considering the environment that they're in, he continued. But that's the brilliance about Tony Gilroy's writing. He provides these environments for characters to thrive and survive in. And you'll learn about their internal journey, their psychology, their complexities and flaws in response to the world that they're in. Yeah, he played a good part. That's what it boils down to. It started off, as like what they call them. I forgot what they call them now. Like prisoners that have, like a higher rank. I forgot what they call them now. It was one of those, wasn't it? And but eventually learned the truth about what was happening in the prison, and they were never getting out. The second season of Andor has been filming earlier this year, but things were seriously cut back when SAG-AFTRA strike began and actors in the union had to step away. While he was still in production, star Diego Luna told the Associated Press that filming the season 2 scenes was a bit sad, as it likely marks the end of his run as Cassian Andor. Well, he's lucky to bloody get a series, because he died, spoilers, he died in Rogue One. Well, we presume. We didn't actually see him die. He just, fade to white sort of thing. I'm very excited filming. I mean, he could have been beamed away. We know they have teleporters, don't they? Oh, they're mentioned anyway in Star Wars. Maybe somebody beamed him away. Him and Thingamabob. Gino. I'm very excited filming all the time. I feel that we are approaching the end, and therefore the process is lived with a certain melancholy, Luna said. There's also an inevitable part of saying how sad it is to leave this team, to leave this dynamic, to leave this time living here. I don't know what he's talking about. English is his second language. But there was something he said up here. Where have I seen it now? There we go. Yes. That. Why did that's something that Andy Serkis said about Quinto. All that we do know is that he survives. So he has survived. Yes, somehow Andor has returned. Yeah. Cloning. Secrets only the Sith know. And the thingamabout Kaminoans. But they were wiped out, weren't they? Along with the Geonosians. But there we go. Does he know something? Did that slip out? I mean, all that we know is that he survives. I mean, we don't see him die. A backtrack. Does he really know? Is he going to be appearing and he's not letting on? NDAs and all that. All got to sign those, haven't they? Anyway, I hope he does come back. I hope we see what happens to him, and we find out that he is Supreme Leader thingamafella. Me and bloody remembering things. Snoke. He'll come back as Snoke with his gold his gold dressing gown. Anyway. Well, let's move on. Right. RoboCop. Next. Let me make this bigger. Here he is. Your move, creep. I think that's actually from the game, isn't it? There's a game coming out. Right. Unproduced RoboCop sequel detailed by Neill Blomkamp. I'm a big Neill Blomkamp fan. Love District 9. Apparently, they're doing a District 10. It's been in the works for donkey's years, hasn't it? But apparently, it's coming. It's on its way. And I like that other one, that one with Matt Damon he did. I can never remember its name. I get it mixed up. Elysium, yeah. I always get it mixed up with Oblivion, that Tom Cruise one, because I think they came out around about the same time, didn't they? Elysium. I like that one as well. And I like Chappie. I think that's a great film. I don't know why people rag on Chappie. I think it's A. It's like Short Circuit, but with a bit of edge. Anyway, Gran Turismo director. Oh, is he doing that? Director Neill Blomkamp revealed his vision for the unproduced RoboCop Legacy sequel. In an exclusive interview with JoBlo.com to promote Gran Turismo, Blomkamp explained what his version of a true sequel to Paul Verhoeven's 1987 smash hit would have looked like. One thing that Blomkamp confirmed was that his unproduced sequel titled RoboCop Returns would have no reference to the sequels RoboCop 2, 1990, and RoboCop 3, 1993. Oh, I like RoboCop 2. RoboCop 3 I want a huge fan of. My son loves RoboCop 3. He watches that more than the other two. Mental. But I like RoboCop 2. That were good. Behave yourselves. Cool. Anyway, instead, RoboCop Returns was to take place exactly 1 day after the Verhoeven movie. I spelled that wrong, never mind. That's the only film that I would have ever done where I would have tried to basically simulate Paul Verhoeven's directing style, Blomkamp explained. I wanted it to feel like it was the day after, like if Dick Jones fell out of the window on Monday with his bendy arms. This would have been Tuesday. It was like literally the next morning that it began. So it was a direct sequel exactly in the same style. Right. There's a video of something. 1987's RoboCop was a landmark sci-fi action film that starred Peter Weller as a deceased Detroit cop in the near future, resurrected as a cyborg designed to serve and to protect. As his old memories begin to resurface, RoboCop tracks down his killers and uncovers a conspiracy by his creators at Omni Consumer Products, OCP. The movie was wildly popular with critics and audiences, spawning a plethora of toys, comic books. It's what I've never understood. They have these like rated R films that kids aren't really supposed to see. They make like toys. Anyway, and video games and a short-lived animated series produced by Marvel Animation. And there were a TV series as well, which wasn't that good. I've got it somewhere. They did like TV movies. Did they do a series as well? But they did like TV movies, didn't they? They released one on DVD, RoboCop Prime Directives. I've got it somewhere. It's not that good, but it's not terrible. But anyway, meanwhile, it's TV. Meanwhile, the legacy of RoboCop will continue in video game form with the first-person shooter game RoboCop Rogue City. Star Weller reprises the title role in voiceover and granted his likeness for the game. RoboCop Rogue City will hit PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in September. There we go. There we go. Yes, there is a series. Pluto TV is airing it right now. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, it's not Peter Weller as RoboCop, and it's not even from RoboCop 3 either, is it? Whose name I can't remember. But yeah, my son loves RoboCop 3, but it was directed by Fred Decker, who would go on to do like Enterprise, when he Star Trek Enterprise. Anyway, that'd have been interesting. Set the day after. Direct sequel. So who would have got to play RoboCop? It'd have to be somebody that looks like Peter Weller, wouldn't it? You'd think. Or would they do get Peter Weller in and do CG or something? I don't know. But anyway, there we go. Very interesting. Right, move on. Oh, we'll be here all night. Star Trek again. This big. Edit. Right. What's this one now? Sorry, I'm trying to remember now. Look at the headlines and I'm trying to think what the story is. Richard Eden plays him in the show. Right. I don't think it was him in RoboCop 3 or I can't remember who it was. Ooh, getting the numb bum. But like I said, didn't hate the series. It was interesting. It was a bit, weird. The city computer in female forms, like a hologram, wasn't she? And I don't know, it was a bit weird. Can't remember that much about it. Right, Star Trek needs to solve one mystery before this series ends. Oh, yes, I remember now. The fifth and final season of Star Trek Discovery is still months away from premiere, which is expected in early 2024. One Star Trek mystery we're still waiting to be solved is exactly what happened to the crew of Discovery in the Star Trek Short Treks episode Calypso. I bet they forgot. I bet they have. Either they forgot or they thought, oh, never mind, don't matter. Because I've mentioned that before, that supposedly at some point the Discovery gets trapped in that nebula with no crew on board, doesn't it? Anyway. Calypso opens with a man alone in a Vadrash, I can't remember, escape pods. His life signals reach critical levels. The escape pod is suddenly caught in a tractor beam, and the man wakes up on USS Discovery, only to find that the ship is empty. It has been empty for nearly a millennia. All right. And there's no one aboard but Zora, Discovery's onboard AI that has integrated itself within the ship. With the ship in the previous seasons of Star Trek Discovery, which was stupid. They just make it just so complicated. Anyway, Wingrace says Calypso technically can't happen because the Discovery in that was regular Discovery. Oh, yes, and it's already been upgraded to the Discovery A with detachable nacelles, etc. Yes, you're right. But they're always tripping up over their own canon, aren't they? They even forgot that they'd got new uniforms or something. I can't actually remember now. But anyway, where were we? Right. The season 4 of Star Trek Discovery only got as far as answering Zora's origins and her integration with the ship, but not what actually happened with the crew. And the fans are hoping for an answer in the upcoming season. Maybe it's a different Discovery. Maybe I don't. Maybe when they travel to the future, maybe another version of Discovery were created. Like Riker and Boimler in their transporter things. I don't know. From what we gathered from the Calypso episode, Zora was ordered by her captain to maintain position by her captain a millennium ago, before the crew left the ship. However, the question remains whether the crew actually left the ship or they were beamed temporarily into the transporter's pattern buffers for 1,000 years, making it appear as if the ship is abandoned. No, they didn't think of that. And if that's the case, why would Burnham order such action? Did she even order it, or has Zora purposefully failed to follow orders by her captain and decided to capture the crew inside the buffer? Why do they keep going on about that? And finally, will this be addressed in Star Trek Discovery? No. Those are the questions that require answers. The recent iterations of the whole Star Trek universe revealed that transporter pattern buffers could basically act as network-attached storage for basically everything, including biological matter and sentient life forms. Yeah, but not for 1,000 years. Because we saw it in Strange New Worlds where the Dr. Mabenga, kept his daughter in the pattern buffer, but he had to bring it out every so often, as a pattern would start degrading, and then he'd put her back in again. And then she went off with some alien, she was like Vash going off with Q. She's gone off with this alien on adventures and grew up really quick. Anyway, Burnham wasn't captain yet at this point. Well, not in the original Discovery, no. Wasn't Saru captain after Pike left and they went to the future? I think it was technically, yeah. I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Like I say, she didn't get made captain until later, well after they'd arrived in the, is it 31st or 32nd century? I can't remember. And I don't care. Where were we? Have I got to read that? Or is that going to repeat it later on? We'll read it. The season 4. Oh, no, yeah, I've read that. One could load a severely injured individual into the transporter pattern buffer, which apparently pauses all biological functions indefinitely, acting as a sort of suspended animation. We even saw it happen in the Star Trek Discovery episode Stormy Weather. Did we? I can't remember. I've seen them all, but I can't remember. According to Jonathan Frakes, who's aka William Riker, who directed that particular Star Trek Discovery episode, the Stormy Weather actually sets up a solution to the Calypso mystery. Well, this is why they're going with it, suggesting that the crew didn't abandon ship. Instead, they're stored inside the transporter Pater buffer. Unbelievable. But this only poses further questions of why they're there, and even more importantly, why they're inside the buffer for that long. Remember, Scotty were in the pattern buffer war, 78 years or something like that. Him and just one other fella, but they couldn't keep power long enough. Probably because Scotty was so big, He's like leached power from Franklin, who got a starship named after him, after all, from Franklin, and so he could keep his fat self in the buffer. Anyway. Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery still hasn't received an official release date, but the current release window places the premiere in early 2024. Considering that the crew of Discovery already made one temporal jump, we wouldn't be surprised if the series breaches into the 4th millennium by suspending the crew and sleeping the journey off. Well, that's it. Yeah, they won't even reference it. They won't. They'll hope we've forgotten about it. They will. That's what. Anyway. Now this sounds like they're going with a duplicate Discovery angle, and they need to travel to the future the long way to catch up with themselves. I don't think they'll mention it. I think they'll just have some adventures in season 5, do what they want to do, and then it'll just end. I don't think they'll even mention this short trek and the fella that's on the ship. Did he have a name? I can't bloody remember. Him. Yeah, I don't think they'll even mention it. They never mentioned the other stuff, did they? The tribbles and and Harry Mudd, and he's that was that of the short treks. That was my favourite one, the Harry Mudd one. But the rest, bloody rubbish. Anyway, let's move on. As I said, I don't think they'll mention it. They'll just hope we don't remember, because most people won't remember. I forgot what I'm doing now. Oh, right. Bounding into comics next, so it could get spicy. Maybe not. We'll see. Leaked images. Hang on, before we start, I'll get rid of that then, because Windgrace is saying stuff. I like the Mud one, and I like the animated one that went through the history of the Enterprise, even though it was wacky. I don't think I watched all that animated one because it got on my nerves. I didn't like those robots. If that's the one that you're on about. But I wasn't a huge fan of the short treks, to be honest. Anyway. Right. Go on, to stream. There we go. Right. Leaked images of toys reveal new Titan and potential plot details of Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. Godzilla X Kong. Anyway, images of Godzilla X Kong merchandise. I mean, it's like you'd scratch it on a tree, isn't it? Godzilla X Kong. the mates or something. Images of Godzilla X Kong merchandise that Legendary Pictures don't want you to see have been circulating the internet to their epic dismay. And they have been pulling them down wherever they are posted. Folks on social media with inside sources, such as Twitter X's KDM, consequently urge others to use a little bit of caution with Big Brother watching. And there it is. Some new toy leaks. Please don't spread. They are watching you. Oh, pardon me. Oh, hang on. Yeah, but it featured the TOS cats during the movie. Oh, well, lads, I didn't get that far. Right. Legendary's massive campaign of swift redaction has a few on edge. But it is also having the unsurprising side effect of inducing speculation. Fans are seeing the act by the studio as a sign the forbidden photos are legitimate and that they harbour spoilers. Though we won't post the pics, we can go over what the spoilers are. One of them is a new Titan that could play a vital but secondary role as a threat to the team of Godzilla and Kong, named Shimu. The creature, that name rings a bell. I've seen that somewhere before. I'm sure it's in Monster Hunter World, that game. My son's got it, he plays it. I'm sure they've got a creature called a Shimu in that. Anyway, the creature is an original that could be a member of the Godzilla species based on those dorsal plates. See the fan art below. I'll do that in a minute. It also has a strong resemblance to Anguirus, minus the beloved Toho Kaiju shell. I've got a lot of the Tojo Godzilla films, but I've only seen a few of them. Let's have a look. Spoilers. This post may contain spoilers. So if you don't want to see, look away now or go make a cuppa or something. The New Empire Shimu. It's just a drawing, isn't it? Yeah, whatever. Right. Ooh. According to coverage by YouTuber Warstew, Shimu's figure, which the vlogger, posted a glimpse of in an Instagram story, has a blue glow with a bit of white. This doesn't say much about the creature's powers, if any, except that it might be charged with the mysterious energy housed in the Hollow Earth, a plot MacGuffin explored in the upcoming film. Oh, right. They did it in the last film, didn't they? Hollow Earth. They should just from space and stuff now, shouldn't they? Anyway, we can't say for certain yet if Shimu harnesses the arcane power source, but should the beast do that, it might not act of its own accord. Whilst you adds Shimu could be a pet or minion of the Orangu Kong shown in the Godzilla X Kong teaser. Presuming that's it there. Evidence for this possibility is a whip in the leaked images believed to belong to the menacing red ape. I won't play that. If you want to watch that, follow that link. The whip could be the Orangu Kong's weapon of choice, or the tool he uses to tame and motivate monsters under his command. He will prove to be a formidable force against his two rival kings. If that is the case, how will they deal with him? What means will Godzilla and Kong have to put up a fight? Yes, because Godzilla, king of the monsters, and he's King Kong, isn't it? So they're both kings. Anyway, the answer might be found in the same Hollow Earth energy that has the risk of being used against them, as the leaked images show a Godzilla and a Kong figure with their own glows. The Kong toy glows blue and the Godzilla glows orange. Sorry. But that's opposite that, isn't it? But never mind. A look that will be familiar to G fans in a pattern evocative of power coursing them. That's obviously a Godzilla skull and a Kong skull and stuff in the background. I don't bloody know. Whatever way the Red Ape and Shimu charge themselves is likely to be figured out by Kong and Godzilla and used to their advantage. This is a sound prediction, but one that only holds water if the redacted imagery can be trusted. A trailer could settle things depending on what it gives away. Sadly, no one knows when we're getting one. Well, no. Is that it? Yes. No. But yeah, well, I just hope they've got a good story. They can't just throw a monster in, can they? And hope for the best. Got to get a good story as well. Not that King Kong versus Godzilla had a good story, but it was fun. So I suppose if it's fun, that's all that matters, isn't it? That's all that matters. Right, let's move on. Hey, we're getting there. Star Trek. Oh, yes, this one. This is the divisive Star Trek musical episode. Star Trek's musical soundtrack top streaming charts. I said I was going to buy it and I haven't got around to it yet. The soundtrack for Star Trek Strange New Worlds musical episode Subspace Rhapsody has been topping the streaming charts. It's a private conversation. Hey, dear. The soundtrack for Subspace Rhapsody, Star Trek Strange New Worlds' first ever musical episode, and I liked it. Hang on. Yep. Windgrace wants Jet Jaguar. Yes. I mean, we got Mecha Godzilla in previous episode. I want the smog monster. Anyway. I forgot where I want now. Let's start again. The soundtrack for Subspace Rhapsody, Star Trek Strange New Worlds' first ever musical episode has been topping streaming charts. By nearly all accounts, Subspace Rhapsody was a resounding success for Strange New Worlds, as the episode has received praise from both critics and fans alike. Not in my circles, everybody hates it except for me. Anyway. In Subspace Rhapsody, the crew of the USS Enterprise find themselves confessing their feelings via catchy musical numbers. Not only is the episode incredibly fun, yes it is, but it also provides fascinating character development that moves several storylines of Strange New Worlds' Season 2 forward. On Friday, oh, by the way, there's the final episode tomorrow, isn't it? Just remembered. Anyway, on Friday, August 4th, 2023, the day after Strange New Worlds musical aired, the album dropped on all music streaming platforms and landed on and landed on the top album chart on iTunes soon after. The Subspace Rhapsody album includes all 9 original songs from Strange New Worlds musical episode, plus the instrumental version of Strange New Worlds' opening and closing credits. Wingers says, I didn't hate it. I was just hoping it would be a little more than it was. It was fun enough. I thought it was really good. I thought they dropped a clanger, though, with the intro, the opening credits, when it was just like I know it wasn't a cappella, but it was because it had music, but where they were singing the theme, the Star Trek theme. They should have used the lyrics, shouldn't they, from that Gene Roddenberry wrote or whatever. Somebody wrote lyrics for it back in the day, didn't they? I think there's probably a single somewhere with Nichelle Nichols singing the Star Trek theme. Shall we have a look? I'm gonna search on YouTube, see if it's on there. Nichelle Nichols Star Trek theme. Here we go. Nichelle Nichols, the theme from Star Trek. Oh, there we go. Let's have a quick listen, shall we? See what happens. Hang on. I don't know if you'll hear it. How shall I do it? How shall I do it? Just bear with me. Just let me get rid of that. Just bear with me while I just do this, and I'll drag this over here. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Right. So what's this one? It's from 1991, according to this. I'm sure the one in the 60s. It's not that one then, is it? Nichelle Nichols' theme from Star Trek, is it? Let me have a look. It's from 1986. Oh no, 1991. Well, we'll see. I thought they did one in the 60s, but let's have a quick listen. Let me put it. Let's see what happens. I'll probably get into trouble. Maybe they listened to that and thought, nah, we won't bother. Can't you hear it? Oh, right, never mind. Oh no, because I'm not sharing audio. Sorry, never mind. I'll put the link for it in the description. I'll put the link in the chat actually, so you can have a listen. There we go. There we go. But I'll put the link in the chat as well. I forgot where I was now. Is it that one? Yes, it's that one. Right. Back to the story. It didn't inspire me with confidence. She's a great singer, but not the best rendition. Anyway, I forgot where I want now. The Subspace Rhapsody, I've done that one. Plus the instrumental versions of the Strange New Worlds opening, closing credits. See the tweet from LGBTQ plus YouTuber and poet. What's that going to do with anything? Poet Donny Winter below. I mean, what's that going to do with it? What's that going to do with anything? There we go. Subspace Rhapsody is charting at the top of iTunes music charts for soundtracks and albums. This is wonderful. Number 1 in top 100 soundtracks, and number 3 top 100 albums. Right, with insightful lyrics written by Letters to Cleo's Kay Hanley and Tom Polchi, don't know, and some truly outstanding vocal performances by Strange New Worlds as cast. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. If that exists, they really missed a chance to have Celia do a harmony to her recording. Yes, they'd have thought so, wouldn't they? Got to get her to sing it. Anyway. I forgot what I want now. And some truly outstanding vocal performances by Strange New Worlds as cast. It's not surprising that music from Subspace Rhapsody is so popular. They were decent songs, I thought. The Strange New Worlds musicals album remains at number 3 on the top album streaming chart and number 1 on the top soundtrack chart on iTunes. I don't know what it did on Amazon Music. I checked on Amazon. I was going to buy it off there, but I didn't. I didn't get around to it. Several of the individual songs have also charted on the top soundtrack songs list, with Status Report having reached the highest spot at number 7. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and there they are singing the big finale, because they had to get to the number, didn't the magic number that to get to for some reason. So they all had to sing at once, and the Klingons even getting down. Star Trek Strange New World Season 2 has experimented with various genres and storytelling formats. Well, Season 1 did as well. They did a fairy tale episode, didn't they? And received an overwhelmingly positive response. Maybe it has, I don't know. Status Report, really? Yeah. Was that Christina Chong's one? I can't remember. Anyway, I wouldn't say it's received an overwhelmingly positive response, because, as I said, in the circles I go on YouTube, everybody seems to hate it, apart from Win Grace. but nearly everybody else doesn't like it. People that like it seem to be in the minority. That's what it seems to be to me, anyway. Anyway, Subspace Rhapsody is another example of the creative teams behind the show pushing the boundaries of what Star Trek can be, and the musical worked for the same reasons the other genre-bending episodes have worked. I mean, it worked in Buffy, didn't it? You know, it was a similar sort of thing, wasn't it, in that Buffy episode, Once More with Feeling, where they were basically singing, progressing the plot through song. We learned that it was after Buffy had died and come back, and we learned that she'd gone to heaven and stuff, but she was singing it. So like I say, that worked. And this were no worse than that, no better either, but it was no worse. You know, it was on the par with it, in my opinion. But anyway, but because it's Star Trek, you're not allowed to have fun. You've got to be serious, unless you're animated. I forgot what I want now. The people behind Strange New Worlds clearly love and understand the Star Trek franchise. Even when Strange New Worlds is at its most experimental, like in the musical episode, it still feels undeniably like Star Trek. I won't go that far. Anyway, from the techno-babble-filled opening number to the triumphant finale, what's this on? Is this on Screen Rant? Because they've got money, obviously, from Paramount Plus for this article. Complete with a hilarious Klingon K-pop interlude. I didn't mind that. People hated that bit, but I didn't mind it. Every song feels, because Klingons like to sing, don't they? So why wouldn't they be singing the K-pop? They like their opera and singing songs about battles. Anyway, next thing you'll be telling me they want to make a baseball episode of Trek, or Robin Hood, or James Bond. Yeah. You're not allowed to have fun in Star Trek. In modern Star Trek, you can have as much fun as you want with the classic Star Trek, but not modern Star Trek. If those episodes were done now, people would be kicking off. You're not allowed to have fun now. Because it's Kurtzman Trek, and you're not allowed any quarter. I forgot what I want. Blah, K-pop interlude, blah blah. Subspace Rhapsody is above all a character-focused episode, and the songs not only reference events from the characters' pasts, but also move their stories forward. Yes, we learned about Carol, Kirk's the mother of Kirk's son, didn't we? Found out about that in this episode. More stories forward. There's so much for Star Trek fans to love in Subspace Rhapsody, and the songs have clearly resonated with many fans of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And we learned Captain Batel's first name as well, Marie, probably just because they wanted it to rhyme with something. But anyway, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad to see it did well. I'm going to see if it's. I'm going to look on Amazon and see if it's in the chat. I bet it ain't. I don't know how to check. Music. There's a way to check the chat. No, it just tells you to go to that, doesn't it? Oh, never mind. Here we go. By the way, saying me, I presume, you should make a video about how Kirk knew about David. I've seen so many people claiming it broke canon for him to know. Well, he did know, because he said, didn't he? In Star Trek 2, they said there's a man in there that I've not seen for 15 years who's just tried to kill me. They said that in Star Trek 2. So he'd obviously met him at some point when he was a kid. So I'm guessing he's probably about his mid-20s, isn't he? At Star Trek 2 is David. So he must have met him, and then maybe something happened, and she told him to stay away. I'm just going headcanon now. Told him to stay away, so he did. I mean, maybe David, met his. Maybe he didn't even know he was his dad. He could have just met. This is Jim, my friend. She said, "This is Jim, my friend." Maybe he didn't even know he was Kirk was his dad. But maybe David were impressed that he was a Starfleet officer, or this Jim Kirk, this overgrown Boy Scout, that his mother used to hang out with. Remember that one in Star Trek 2 as well, wasn't it? Maybe as a kid, maybe he thought he was going to join Starfleet, and she didn't want that, so she sent Kirk away and groomed David to be a scientist like herself, and turned him against Starfleet. Anyway, I'm waffling. I'm waffling. Don't need to do a video now. I'll just snip this bit. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to something less controversial, I hope. Right, Star Wars. Oh, right, here we go. I can't even remember this one either. Star Wars finally answers Darth Vader mystery. The Star Wars sequel trilogy left us with many unanswered questions, including big stuff like how the hell Maz Kanata ended up with Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. Story for another time. And then they forgot. But one of the biggest mysteries has been staring both us and Adam Driver in the face from the very beginning. The question of how Sith wannabe Kylo Ren ended up with the charred remains of Darth Vader's helmet. He wasn't a Sith wannabe, he was one of the Knights of Ren. Anyway, which they never expanded on that either, did they? Anyway, now as Yahoo reports, the upcoming anthology book From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi, introduces us to the story of an Imperial soldier who ends up on Endor and may well find the helmet. As you'll recall, the end of Star Wars Return of the Jedi showed us how Darth Vader died from his injuries, but only after Luke Skywalker helped to bring him back to the light side of the Force. Never mind all the millions of people he was instrumental in killing. Never mind. The younglings, etc. But, save your son and chuck the Emperor down the shaft. Everything's hunky-dory, as long as, according to the Force. Afterward, Luke Skywalker set Vader's body on fire on the surface of Endor. Whenever I watch new Star Wars now, the original trilogy, I'm always thinking of the Robot Chicken episode. That one where they're burning him and he's still alive and he's screaming. He's saying, "Oh, it's just the wood." Anyway. Which helps to explain why the helmet looks so charred and nasty when we see it in The Force Awakens. But one question that none of the sequel trilogy films ever got around to answering is how Kylo Ren retrieved it. I just assumed he just went to Endor and got it, found it there. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Luke had it at the temple. Maybe it was among his, knickknacks, and Kylo Ren just nicked it after he destroyed the Jedi Temple. That's what, don't have to be complicated, does it? Anyway, that could all be changing soon. In the anthology book From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi, one short story introduces us to an early misadventure of the Imperial officer Enric Pride. I bet they're LGBTQ. I bet they are. Windgrace blamed Wicket. Little sod. In Star Wars The Rise of Palpatine, this character had attained the rank of a Legion General. Oh, right. But in this short story, we see him as a much younger officer. There he's dealing with the fact that as Enric Pride, the I forgot his name now. Richard E. Grant character. I don't know. Anyway, but I think it is, isn't it? But in this short story, we see him as a much younger officer. There, he's dealing with the fact that against all odds, the rebels, with some help from the Ewoks, ended up destroying the second Death Star, and with it, also everyone assumed at the time, Emperor Palpatine, and huge chunks of the Death Star ended up on another moon of Endor somehow. While the excerpt from this, why did they just have it on Endor? A big chunk of it on Endor. I mean, it's not all they call it the forest moon, but yeah, they could still have the sea, couldn't they? Surely there's bits of it that have got sea. It's just mostly forest. Anyway, while the excerpt from this Star Wars anthology doesn't explicitly mention Darth Vader, it does reference Pride waking up on Endor, something we can deduce thanks to the mention of the Dawn. This excerpt doesn't really detail how he ended up on the Forest Moon in the first place, but the smart money is that he either fled from the Death Star and hid his ship on Endor, or that it was shot down by rebel forces. But what's the point of this story if it doesn't tell you anything? The important thing, though, is that we now canonically have a loyal soldier of the Empire on Endor. I'm sure there were lots of them immediately following the end of Return of the Jedi. They all got eaten by the by the Ewoks, didn't they? And they scooped the heads out of the helmets and played drums on them and sang Yub Nub. Anyway, it's possible then that this Star Wars short story will reveal Pride discovering the dead body of Darth Vader and deciding to bring it back. Well, you're just guessing because you don't know, do you? And deciding to bring it back, it's a giant freaking robot, so they just make stuff up, though. Decided to bring it back either out of loyalty to his former leader or because he doesn't want to leave Vader's corpse surrounded by enemies. While that's admittedly a stretch, yeah, it's worth remembering that this isn't just any officer. Pride was trusted by Emperor Palpatine so much that he was in charge of commanding the Sith fleet that Palpatine had hidden, deep within Exegol. Why? Why did he hide them in Exegol? Why did they rise up out of the ground? If nobody could find the place without the Sith holocron or whatever the hell it was, why hide them? Why not just have them there in orbit? Because it's a stupid film. It's a comedy. If there's anybody who might rip the smoking helmet off a charred corpse to win favour with Kylo Ren or other powerful baddies, it's probably this guy. Nah, it's a load of rubbish. It's a load of rubbish. It's not him. That's it. He got it himself, the Kylo Ren, probably. You know, he either found it on Endor or, as I said, Luke Skywalker probably had it at the Jedi Temple. Probably in his foot locker or something. And Kylo Ren stole it when he turned bad. Bloody giant freaking robot. I don't know. Right. Indiana Jones. Next. I'm going to get mad at this one, I know, I can tell. Hey. Wingate says, this is the side of Star Wars fandom I don't care for. They have to way overcomplicate every little detail and backstory. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Hey. But anyway, it's a way, isn't it, to get the sequel trilogy into the original trilogy. That's all it is. You know, it's a way for Lucasfilm through, you know, the books to connect the sequel trilogy with, you know, classic Star Wars. That's all it is. Right. Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, has made less than the worst Star Wars movie. Solo, they're on about Solo. It's not the worst Star Wars movie. The dust from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has finally settled, and it's become clear how it compares to some of the best and worst movies around. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is hardly going to be considered as one of the greats compared to any of the other Indiana Jones movies, and yes, we're including Crystal Skull in this, and much of Harrison Ford's other known work, Dial of Destiny, may just end up being one of the worst movies in his filmography. It is pretty bad. But it's not terrible. You know, it's not the worst film in the world. But as far as Indiana Jones films go, you know, it's not good. A shame, since Indiana Jones has become a franchise that produced the best adventure movies over the years. There's just three. There's three Indiana Jones films. That's all you need. You don't need the others. It combined over-the-top theatricality with intense action sequencing, plus a little bit of romance sprinkled on top. And when the series has been led by the creative minds of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, it's almost unbelievable to see where it's ended up. Having been released in the summer of 2023, Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones could have been the perfect warm-up to the likes of Barbie and Oppenheimer. Instead, it quickly got lost in the midst of much more memorable and better crafted new movies and found itself in the shadows gathering dust. It wasn't the only film that suffered, though. I mean, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, that also suffered, didn't it? That didn't make a lot of money, which is a shame because apparently it's really good. I've not seen it yet, but apparently it's really good. But anyway, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny is likely to end its theatre run soon and will no doubt wind up on one of the best streaming services, Disney Plus. One of the best streaming services, Disney. Did the check clear digital fix? Anyway, so far it's made $368,808,438.24 at the international box office. It took a while by most standards for it to go past its whopping $295 million budget and the rest. And it seemed touch and go as to whether it was going to break even at all. Well, first off, it hasn't broken even at all. If you know anything about, how films make money, $368 million isn't breaking even on a $295 million budget. If you're going with that, isn't breaking even. Because you've got marketing costs to add on to that, 150 million thereabouts. That's what people are saying. And then don't forget, Disney doesn't get all of the ticket sales. They get, say, 50%. It varies depending what territory you're in. But average, I suppose, that 50 to 60% Disney gets of that. So we'll say half. So basically, they're getting half of that is Disney. So they're getting what's half of that? 180, calling it $190 million. So it's still lost money. So there you go. It's lost money, so it hasn't broken even. Anyway, but perhaps that box office draw still isn't impressive enough because they've lost money. For contrast, 2018 Solo, a Star Wars story, managed to beat Indy by bringing in just under $393 million during its run. It's also lost money. This is notable for two reasons. One, Solo is widely considered to be one of the worst movies to come out of the Star Wars collective. I don't think people think it's the worst one. It's usually people say The Last Jedi is the worst one. Solo, a lot of people think it's a pointless film more than a bad film. I quite enjoyed it, but it did have some poor parts in it. But as a whole, it was okay. I didn't hate it. They just didn't need to be made, in my opinion. And there were some terrible bits in it. The silly, what was it, L33T doing a droid rights thing. And how they gave Solo his name, that was stupid. But and why do they need a train when they've got anti-gravity spaceships and stuff? But anyway, never mind. Anyway, and two, it's a movie made to explore Han Solo's character without Harrison Ford, the man who brought him to life. And that's they recast him, didn't they? And they did okay. I didn't mind Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. He was fine. In short, the climactic finale of Harrison Ford's reign as Indiana Jones brought in less at the box office than the widely hated movie about his other most famous character, which didn't even star Ford. Based on these optics, Indy didn't really hit the mark at all. Neither Indiana Jones nor Solo managed to exceed expectations in both earnings and critical reviews. Indy 5 has been regarded as perhaps the most forgettable installment in the franchise, making Crystal Skull look like a joyride. On the other hand, Solo was generally panned and was deemed unnecessary. Well, that's generally it. Yeah, it was unnecessary. Nobody asked for it, basically. But still, if we're looking at financial gain, Solo came out on top in the fight between Space Rogue and Aging Archaeologist, but not really. Because the budget, I don't know what the budget was, because I don't think they've ever said for Solo. But remember, it was like 80% finished or something like that when she sacked the directors, the ones that did the Lego movie, I forgot the names. She sacked those after Lawrence Kasdan threw a hissy fit because they were letting the cast ad lib and they weren't following the script. And so it essentially got reshot mostly. So I bet the budget for that were way over $300 million. So that lost a lot of money. Anyway, win grace. Meanwhile, Harrison is going over to Marvel. Let's see how that goes. Yes, he's going to be the new General Thunderbolt Ross, isn't he? After the death of William Hurt. See, you can in Marvel. You can recast somebody after they died. Black Panther. Is that it? Have we done? Yeah, that's it. Right, fair enough. Right, there. So it's lost money. And this is one of the reasons why the rumours that Kathleen Kennedy's being fired because of the disaster of Indiana Jones and the dial of density. But anyway, but she hasn't been fired. She hasn't been fired. Right, let's move on. Let's move on. Move us on the onus. Last story. We're on the last one. The last one. Thank God. Nearly 2 hours I've been waffling. Right, Admiral Janeway will narrowly avoid a Star Trek Picard tragedy. The dating of Prodigy Season 2 puts Admiral Janeway and her young Starfleet hopefuls in the path of 2 devastating tragedies from Star Trek Picard. Windgrace knows this one. He's like going, no. It's been revealed that Admiral Catherine Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, and her Star Trek Prodigy crew will narrowly avoid being caught up in a devastating Star Trek Picard tragedy. An exclusive clip from Prodigy's Season 2 premiere was screened at Star Trek Las Vegas' 57-year mission, providing a tantalizing tease for new episodes of the cancelled Star Trek show. The clip showed Dalrell. Is it Dalrell or Dalrell? RL? I think it's RL, isn't it? But I'd have said Dalrell, but whatever. Or L. Anyway, and his fellow Starfleet hopeful, Dal, and his fellow Starfleet hopefuls, being taken to their new ship, currently docked above Mars. Judging by the tender reunion between Dal and his friends, it's clear that Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 doesn't immediately pick up where the finale left off. Prodigy Season 1 took place in the year 2384, and judging by one or two clues, Season 2 looks set to begin in early 2385. This places Janeway and the former crew of the USS Protostar right in the centre of 2 monumental events in Federation history, both of which played a big part in setting up Star Trek Picard's story. And there they are, with the Doctor leaning into shot. Arriving aboard Star Trek's new USS Voyager A, the Doctor, Robert Picardo, fills Dal and the crew in on what's happened since they last saw Janeway. According to the Doctor, the rest of Starfleet is busy relocating and resettling Romulan refugees in anticipation of the pending supernova disaster. The Hobus star gone supernova, and somehow it's going to destroy everything in the galaxy or whatever. It didn't make sense. But Romulus gets destroyed by it, thus leading into the events of Star Trek 2009. Anyway, it's for this reason that Admiral Janeway has taken it upon herself to lead the mission to save Captain Chakotay, Robert Beltran, from the alternate future in which he's trapped. The evacuation of Romulus began in 2385, so this lines up with the ending of Star Trek Prodigy Season 1. Tragically, a disaster much closer to home would force Starfleet and the Federation to withdraw from their relocation mission. I thought, though, I didn't think, I don't know. I don't know. Did they have time to evacuate Romulus? I thought that the Romulans didn't believe that this supernova was going to destroy them, and that's why Nero was so disillusioned with the Romulans and went off to do to try and sort out the supernova with Spock and Picard and the Enterprise E and who else? Geordie LaForge and his new ship, the Jellyfish. They were going to fly that in and use red matter to collapse the supernova. But it didn't work, and Romulus was destroyed. They weren't there fast enough, and Romulus was destroyed. So I don't know all about this evacuation of Romulus. I thought they just evacuated some colonies or something, or that were still in the. I don't know. Anyway, Wingers says, really think they missed a joke when he said, "I'm the Doctor," and one of the kids says, "Doctor, Doctor who?" Yes, they could. And he said, "No, not that one. I am the Doctor." You'd have thought they'd given him a name by now, wouldn't you? He'd have picked one. But anyway, or a rank. He didn't have rank things. You thought he'd have got a rank, wouldn't you? But Because he's not just any EMH now, is he? He's, you know, he's like data, he's sentient, isn't he, and stuff. Anyway, I want to know how that mobile emitter stores all of his data in just that little. I know it's from the future, but how does it all fit in there? Do they use McKay's compression algorithm or something? I don't know. Anyway, where were we? I forgot where I was now. I'll start again. The evacuation of Romulus began in 2385, so this lines up with the ending of Star Trek Prodigy Season 1. Tragically, a disaster much closer to home would force Starfleet and the Federation to withdraw from their relocation mission. This decision outraged Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, who resigned his commission out of principle. That tragedy occurred at the Utopia Planitia shipyards on Mars, or above Mars, above which the USS Voyager A is docked in Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. It will be interesting, therefore, to see how Janeway and the Prodigy crew responds to the devastating attack. It's when all the synths attack in it. From Picard Season 1. It was stupid. Anyway, cool shot of the Voyager A. That's that got my Starship porn juices flowing. Anyway, the Mars attack took place during First Contact Day in Star Trek Picard, which dates the attack to April 5th. I'm sure that's my mate's birthday. I could be wrong. Rogue synthetic life forms brutally rose up against their organic counterparts and led a devastating assault on Federation facilities on the Red Planet. I didn't understand what were the ships that they were flying in it. You know, destroying. I didn't get it. I know what to do with Romulans and stuff, wasn't it? They targeted the shipyards on the surface, the Federation's Romulan Rescue Armada, and the orbital Mars station. And apparently Mars were on fire forever afterwards. Mars's atmosphere. Anyway. With the Voyager A docked above Mars, it could potentially be in the firing line when Commodore O's synths begin their attacks. Although it's more likely that Voyager will be the final starship to leave Mars before the widespread destruction and devastation of the fleet is enacted by the synths. With Janeway and her crew due to embark on the USS Voyager A before the attacks take place, they can avoid being caught up in the deadly devastation. I bet they don't mention it. I bet they don't. However, the attack on Mars was such an epoch-shifting event in Star Trek Picard that it will be interesting to see how it plays into Janeway's rescue mission in Prodigy Season 2, with Starfleet and the Federation abandoning the Romulan evacuation. They could also demand that Janeway abandons the Chakotay rescue mission to respond to the needs of the many in Star Trek's devastated 24th century. I don't know. That's it. I bet they just go. I bet it's not even mentioned. I bet they say, the fleet. Yeah, I bet, no, as Win Grace says, I hope they don't address it at all. I bet they might say, the fleet's dealing with the Romulan evacuation, and that'll be it. That'll be it. It'll not get mentioned again, and they'll just go to the Voyager A, and it'll go off on its mission, and I bet we don't even see because it's supposed to be like above Mars. It's supposed to be all those ships. Weren't there? What class were there? I forgot now. All those like ships with all for the relocations, for the evacuations. They designed a new type of ship, didn't they? And we saw loads of them, didn't we, in Picard Season 1? We might see them, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. Anyway, yeah. So it does take place around that time, but I don't think they'll dwell on it. It might be mentioned, and then off they'll go, and then at some point afterwards, the destruction happens. Maybe it'll get mentioned in another episode in the future, down the line in the season. They'll say, this thing's happened with the synths, and they'll say, oh crikey. But anyway, right, we'll leave it there. Get rid of that. Right. Just let me do that. And I'll try to remember to put that Nichelle Nichols song in. Actually, I'll find the other one. That sounded a bit better. They're leaving the quadrant seems unlikely. I can't remember where. I forgot the name of the planet now. Is it Solus or Solmus or Solum? I can't remember where that's supposed to be. Is it in the Delta Quadrant? I can't remember. I can't remember. Oh, crikey. But like I said, Star Trek Prodigy started in the Delta Quadrant, didn't it? Don't know where in the Delta Quadrant. They didn't make that clear. I mean, we saw K's on in Star Trek Prodigy who were from way over the other side of the Delta Quadrant. But we saw it, so I don't know. But yet, you know, we had what was it, Jankum, whatever it's called. They had the Tellarite. So what were he doing in the Delta Quadrant? I don't know. Anyway, that's it. We'll leave it there. That's the news for tonight. I've been at it for 2 hours. So thanks, Win Grace. You know, the only person who's joined in. Just make sure nobody else snuck in and I didn't notice. Archmage Frey there. Anyway. I'll just check on Rumble, make sure we haven't got any messages on Rumble. Nope, no messages on Rumble. And where's that gone? There we go. And obviously nothing on Twitch. Hang on, where are we? I bet they stopped by Neelix on their way. Oh, yes, because he's in that, you know, handily placed Talaxian colony at the edge of the Delta Quadrant, isn't it? Just so they could get him off the ship and he could live happily ever after with some other Talaxians. They explained he was part of an old sleeper colony ship. Pre-Federation. Oh, the Tellarite. I can't remember. Oh, yes, I do remember. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, yes. But he don't look very much like a Tellarite, really, does he? Not compared to the ones that we've seen, but whatever. Right, we will leave it there. So, thanks, Win Grace, for all your amazing information as usual, and the William Shatner scoop. I say I've got to remember to add that to the list. Right, so we'll leave it there. So I'm going to go get something to eat now because I'm getting hungry. So thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other, and until next time, I'll see thee.